Like any other person, I've always had a long list of things I wanted to learn or do. Hey, who says we are forbidden to have wish list? Learn how to play an instrument, play tennis, launch or start a podcast, learn animation or documentary production. Have I succeeded in achieving all? No, but I know with time my desires will be met. Hello, friends. Afishiapa. Happy New Year. Welcome to the special episode of the Entrepreneur Speaks podcast. My name is Kofi Animedu, and I've been privileged to bring to you amazing conversations with entrepreneurs doing amazing things globally. In this special edition, I'll talk about the journey so far, the results, and the directional plans for 2021. Enjoy this edition and dance to the Vela Vela beats produced by Nana Kwabna. Akwaba, welcome. So why this podcast? As earlier stated, this has been on my list for some time. The challenge was the how. How was I going to do this? In 2019, while working with an international organization, I got the opportunity to interact with a lot of Ghanaian entrepreneurs. Boy, I always left them so inspired. These were people with amazing stories. But one way or the other, few people were hearing their stories. I picked up so much knowledge from these people. These knowledge or experiences from these people are usually not things you learn from school, and you can also not find these in textbooks. Then comes COVID-19 and its attendant lockdown. I said to myself, this is the best time to acquire a new skill. A lot fell on podcasting. So I enrolled on an online course on podcasting. My tutor, Indian. Later, I enrolled on another with an American tutor. I've remained committed to their teachings. I kept postponing my launch date because I was scared and thought it would be criticized and not welcome. But one of my tutors kept on saying, enjoy the process. Don't be too hard on yourself. How has the journey been so far? Wow, it's been a journey of continuous improvement. I've been amazed at the things I've learned and put into practice. From coming up with a name for the show, buying microphones, and setting up a small studio, to editing and recording guests, and of course releasing episodes. It's been amazing. So many episodes have been recorded. I've also had the privilege to attend conferences and master classes. What stands out is my participation in Podfest Global Summit, where a Guinness World Record was set. It was a record for the largest virtual podcasting event. Key messages from the first 10 episodes. Do a recap of our first 10 episodes and enjoy the key messages from our amazing guest. Let's go. We hosted Stephen Wilson of Skylink Agro Processing. Then came on Nick Papo Sylvester, a Ghanaian based in South Africa who owns the Ankara Textiles Company. We also hosted Marian Oforichumesi of Mariset Farms. Then came the Mushroom Queen of E90 Company, Fafape Amafwe. We got to hear of the Yesley Ice experience. Akushika Diaba of Yesley Eyes featured on the show. Britta Ofori-Kwegu, a lady who's grooming two enterprising children, also featured on this show. SNS Legacy Company's founder and CEO, Fafali Amengo, had her turn on the Entrepreneur Speaks podcast. Then we took a trip to India, where we interacted with Bhavana Isse, CEO of the social enterprise Caregiver Sati. And you recall her saying that we are all caregivers. Another trip, and this time around, was to the US. And we interacted with the Paris-born celebrity stylist Patrice Bisio. We were also privileged to have hosted Dancho Demkov, the Chief Executive B of BizB Solutions. It's been an amazing time interacting with these wonderful people from these wonderful companies. Take a listen to some of the key messages.
Okay, Kofi, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And my company is Skylink Agro Solutions Limited. Skylink Agro Solutions Limited is engaged in the production of high quality organic product, like you rightly said. The company was set up originally to process high quality cassava flour, but we are diversifying into other products. The reason that gave birth to this company was because I grew up in a farming community in Kiri, in the Kwanta South District of the Oti region. And growing up, I saw how my parents went through the processing of cassava into gari and all those things, and the market was very minimal. So I saw how the pain they went through to get our fees paid and to feed us and all that. And so growing up, I said, no, let me do something, find a way to turn this cassava into something else that may create a market, first of all, for the farmer, and then also to actually take this cassava thing to the next level. And so that's what took me to do research. And since 2008, I've been researching till 2016 when we actually launched Skylink Agro Solutions. So this is a very brief background of how the company came into being.
With these challenges, can you share some of the lessons you've picked from these challenges?
Yes. First of all, the lesson is that you will not fail if people say so. You can only fail if you believe that you will. If I had listened to people at that time, I may not have been where I am. And then again, if you get frustrated with funding, definitely share your ideas with people. And I forgot to say that there was one Miss Simon Ohene from who first angel I met in my life when I was frustrated and was looking for funding. He didn't know me anywhere, but I just pitched to him. And my first seed capital came from him, 20,000. Somebody I don't know could just give me that much money. And that is what actually brought the breakthrough. So my starting point was from somebody I never knew, I have never met anywhere. But he listened to me and then decided to put his money into my business. So when you are faced with this kind of things, maybe God will use other people to come your way, so don't give up. So that's what I become an entrepreneur, that look, don't just be happy going to business or becoming an entrepreneur because of the monetary aspect of it. It must first of all be that you want to solve a problem, a societal problem, or a challenge in your area. And that's how you will get the money is coming in. So first of all, look at solving a problem before the money. Because if money is your reason for going into business or becoming an entrepreneur, you will not be able to continue.
And listeners, Nee is a very good friend of mine, so some of the questions I'll ask will be because I know him and know what he was doing here in Ghana. Nee, I know you were doing very well in Ghana. At which stage of your journey did you decide to relocate? And in making that decision, was the choice South Africa?
Well, you see, my here's the thing, Kofi. I've like I said, I've traveled probably to all the continents, of this world. Well, with the exception of Australia, but I've traveled to all the continents of this world, and personally, I believe in the concept of Africa. Africa as a brand. I want my identity to be tied with Africa as a brand. And I have personally had a lot of hope in Ghana as a country, because my mother comes from Ghana, so I've had a lot of hope in Ghana as a country, you see. But here's the thing. For me, it's about, and everybody is really fighting for what sort of environment can springboard them further in life, or in accomplishing their life goals much further. And I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but it's the truth. Ghana presents a lot of challenges, in relation to the environment, the environmental factors more particularly. So I have known that I always wanted to be an African entrepreneur, because I did try some entrepreneurial endeavors in the UK, and I just felt that this is not the environment for me. And with Ghana more particularly, I really believed in Ghana. I pushed, did all that I had to do, ran the businesses that I have to run, but you always keep hitting bottlenecks, and you always also have that financial constraint, and you also have some of the societal elements of corruption, bribery, because sometimes to even get a job, you have to bribe people, or you have to push money under the table to get a job, which for me does not really sit very well in terms of my ethics. So yes, and then there's also a cap. The type of money you'll be talking about in Ghana, that which is literally your entire business turnover, that is literally in America, someone who's working, it's their salary. You know what I mean? So the currency exchanges and all of that. So I knew for certain that, and I've always said something, and if you find this very interesting, I've always said that I've never called myself a CEO until very recently, because I find the word CEO very, very intimidating. Those are three powerful words in there. You're a chief, you are an executive, you are an officer, all combined for one. So I tell people that you cannot start a company in your bedroom or in the garage and you're calling yourself a CEO, because it's a very egoistic, egocentric type terminology, and I feel like anybody that calls themselves CEO should have earned it, should have earned that status of being CEO. So I put myself on the mark where I said, if you haven't earned, your company is not $1 million company, which means that you need to pass the $1 million mark. Then you have gained the status and title of CEO. You have earned it by the virtue of your earnings or your financial record or leading the company to profit. So I knew that Ghana presented a much bigger challenge, because if you look at the cedi to the dollar ratio, you can easily be a cedi millionaire, but to be a dollar millionaire, it's a different discussion altogether. Exactly. So for me, I did my research. I've never been to South Africa prior to coming to South Africa in 2006. So I did my research, and I knew that South Africa is a divide. It's still in Africa, but it's a divide between the West and Africa. You know what I mean? It's got the infrastructure, it's got the systems, and oh boy, like I thought I knew South Africa based on what I had seen on TV, or I had seen on the news. But you get to South Africa, and for me, it's really no different from being in London. or being in maybe America is a bit far too stretched, but some cities in America, you know what I mean? South Africa has literally got everything that you need. And the way their socio-economic systems work, from transportation, from credit, banking, it's literally like the West. So I knew that South Africa was really the place to, and all the big companies, all the multinational companies, from Alexander Forbes, Ernst and Young, KPMG, the big fashion brands, like everything is over here. So I knew that to be able to build myself as an African entrepreneur, I could certainly not do so without getting the South African experience. So for me, it was crucial to explore South Africa. And I came to South Africa very blinded. I did not know anybody. I had no network whatsoever. I had an idea of what business I want to do. And funnily enough, that's not even the business that I'm doing right now. I've always been an entrepreneur. When I got here, I saw an opportunity. I saw a gap in the market, and I took advantage of that gap, that was in the market. It's been challenging years, and even worse, COVID-19 has also presented me with a whole new, different learning experience when it comes to business, because a lot of the times we feel we are under the assumption that we know, until we are faced with a different set of challenges, and then we realize that there's always, every day is an opportunity to learn. Every day is an opportunity to grow one's self. That the journey of learning, learning is a journey. It's not an end. It's not an end in itself. It's a journey. You are continuously learning every single time, and that's where I find myself right now. Okay, so basically, with starting a business, I feel like they are very crucial ingredients, and one of the most important ingredients is the idea. So what it is exactly that you want to do. And one of the big myths, Kofi, about entrepreneurship, and I say this confidently that it is a myth. That people say, do what you love. Money will come later. And this is an unfortunate myth, because and we relate it to people like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all of that. But the reality of it is this Zuckerberg scenarios and Jeff Bezos and all of that, they form a very small part of the population. I think, yes, it's important to do something that you love, but most importantly, there must be a profit module behind it. So there must be a profit module behind it, because more particularly in environments like Ghana and Africa, you can't start a business without having a profit module behind it. So it's very important to ask yourself the most important question. Yes, I have this great idea, but how am I going to make money off this great idea? And is it sustainable? Is it scalable? And based on those answers, you make a decision of whether you want to really go for it or not. Because there are some ideas that are meant for later, and there are ideas that are meant for now. And so it's very important to also prioritize. You might have a whole lot of ideas, but you're more passionate about some than others. But however, the ones that you're not passionate about are the ones that have an almost immediate chance of bringing in revenue. So you have to think as a businessman. And a businessman is a profit-minded person. Except you are a social entrepreneur. And Kofi might be the best tutor if you want to be a social entrepreneur. But if you want to be an entrepreneur that generates profit, it's very important that your foremost concept of running a business is to make revenue, at least to sustain the business's operation. And so, yes, and then the next thing you need to look at is, what is the most minimal way in which you can start this idea? So you might have a big idea, but it's very important to break that idea into achievable milestones. So what can you do now to make that idea a reality? Or to get yourself closer to making that idea a reality? Or what is the most cost effective? What is it that you and most of the times, even this is if you do management studies, this is basically piped into a model some will call the minimum viable product, or the minimum viable approach, or so what can you do immediately, to make this a realization under very very little cost as much as possible. And even in some cases, some will call it the proof of concept, so your proof of concept phase, because I also believe that once you are past the proof of concept phase, and proof of concept, don't go to people or investors asking them to fund your proof of concept. Find money and fund your own proof of concept, because this proof of concept in itself is case for funding. You know what I mean? If you have been able to do it and you have been able to succeed at a smaller scale, it means that you can prove that this can be done at a much bigger scale. So if on a smaller scale, you got a profit of, let's say, $10, it means that with a capital of, let's say, a capital of $100, you got a profit of $10. It proves in percentage, which is 10%, what your profit margins could be. So if it's a scalable concept, it means that if you have an investment of $1,000 or you have an investment of $2,000, then it means that you'll be getting $200 in profit, or even much more, because scale does not always necessarily mean at the same rate. You know what I mean? Scale could obviously grow much more marginally, than it was previously. So it's very important to look within yourself. It's very important to minimum viable approach, minimum viable product. Very, very important, because that even allows you to make a quick exit with no shame. Because if it doesn't succeed, you put little resources in there, you put little energy in there, and you cannot afford to be emotional about business. I tell a lot of people, and I'll explain to you, Kofi, just quickly. A lot of people are passionate about what they are doing. They are over passionate that they cannot even see their own flaws. And it's very important to sometimes take emotion out of it. And which is why I say look at it from a profit and loss mentality. If that business is not making you profit, does not have the potential to make you profit, like you're not seeing it anywhere in the foreseeable future, it's time to pack up and focus on something that will make you profit. Because you see, you can build emotion and love for anything. You see, as an entrepreneur, me personally, like I said, I've been through several sectors, several industries, and you find this about many other entrepreneurs. They've been through several industries, and these industries sometimes are just teach you the core principles. You know what I mean? Because as an entrepreneur, if your bank balance or your balance sheet or your profit and loss accounts look good, you will be a happy entrepreneur, But if you have a product that you are passionate about and the balance sheet and the profit and loss accounts don't look good, you will be a very miserable entrepreneur. And then you begin to suffer depression, you begin to suffer all these other social ailments that that may exist. So it's very important that your focus is on profitability.
Is it difficult starting and maintaining an agribusiness?
Yeah, Sophie. I know every business is difficult starting it, let alone agribusiness. But one thing I know is the most difficult part is maintaining and growing it. Maintaining and growing business in Ghana is difficult. Even starting it is difficult. I wouldn't want to talk about financial aspect. That one is there. It's a general rule, we all know it. But the other side that makes starting a business in Ghana is just too stressful. It's very stressful, and I would want to use one example. I have a friend, I met a friend this morning. We are all into agribusiness anyway. He wants to establish, he wants to go into processing of palm kernel oil. And the factory is ready. The city should give her power. That has taken her about 4 months or so. So push them. So we are just sharing some of the challenges. That is her challenge. And challenge in starting a business, precisely agri-business. I will talk about mine. Everybody has their own. You know, it is easier for a trader, for somebody who goes to buy and come back and sell goods and other things. Go to the bank and access or otherwise don't. But it is not the same with farmers because they believe the risk involved is too high. And I understand them, but I think something can be done about it. For the trader, or how do I call them? Yes, for the trader, the person who sells, buy and sells supply, supply to whatever, you take your money to go away. So if you take a loan from the bank, you know that definitely at the end of the month, you are going to get something into your account for them to take whatever amount you have to pay. But it is not same with agribusiness. Look at my products, for instance, my crop, cocoa and oil palm. It takes about 4 or 5 years for palm oil to bear fruit, oil palm fruit to give you fruit, to yield for you to get something into your account. So if you go to the bank with this kind of business, they look at all these things and they are thinking, how is she going to pay and all that. So it's difficult. Me, for instance, I haven't had any loan so far from bank for this business. It's only my husband and family, and then some other things I do, like the supply. So with the financial aspect, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And then when you come to even maintaining and growing it, it's factor. And that is where my whole point is. You can easily start a business, but if you don't have the right attitude, you need to be disciplined. You need to be disciplined and have the right attitude in growing or maintaining your business. You know, some businesses that have started in Ghana that are no more, they have collapsed and all that. They all started well, but what happened? What happened? The maintenance, the growing it and all that. It didn't work. So me, for instance, I always think if you have the right attitude, the discipline, and then sometimes your relationship with the staff, your customers, the people you work with counts first in maintaining and growing your business. So Kofi, I wouldn't say much about it, but I would say it's not easy starting it and even maintaining and growing it. It's not easy in Ghana. I don't know about the other countries. I've not been there. I don't know. The thing I know about it.
Interesting. The Entrepreneur Speaks podcast is meant to encourage people to live a life of passion and purpose. What would be your advice to someone with a desire to go into farming, to start an agribusiness?
Like I said before, you can force the horse to the river, but you can't force the horse to drink the water. And I talked about passion, but I know passion alone doesn't do business, even though it's essential. But the right and discipline and being focused is the word. Like I said before, when I see the crown ahead, I'm the only person who is picturing it. Until I tell you this is where I want to get to, you wouldn't know. So if you know where you want to get to, if you are convinced of what you are doing, I think that alone will motivate you. It's not just about going into my own business. I want to do my business and I want to get money. If all these things are your aim of going into your business, you are bound to fail because the money will come today. That is one. And it's not smooth. It's not like when you start money, then everything is going on well. There are times you to give up. There are times you feel alone. There are times you know what you are doing doesn't make sense at all. But we are all part of it. So if you don't have the love, if you don't have love for it, you easily give up. So one, let the passion there, the passion is there. Good. Develop the right attitude and be disciplined. Especially women. You know, when you get money small, you want to buy shoes, you want to buy a hair extension, you want to buy other things. If you are not disciplined with money, it's going to be difficult for you. And then develop the right, get the right relationship. Know how you relate to workers, especially because they are the people you are working with. Whenever you are not there, they are there. If you don't have the right relationship, if you don't develop a good relationship with your staff, it's going to affect you big time. Then your customers, they are the ones who give you the money. Some are very difficult, but you can't give up on them. So that is it. Having the right attitude, being disciplined, being focused, and discipline yourself.
Wow. What are the health benefits of mushroom? If you can share that with us.
That part is one of the things that made me so much glued to mushroom production. Generating mushrooms is an amazing fungi that nature can give mankind. Mushrooms are rich in the B vitamins, such as the pantothenic acid, and the combination helps protect heart health. Riboflavin is good for red blood cells. It also have another B vitamin called the niacin, which is good for the digestive system and for maintaining healthy skin. Also, there is another antioxidant called selenium, which is only found in mushrooms. And this particular antioxidant, it helps to build and repair tissues and cells in the human body whilst boosting our immune system. So in this era of the COVID-19, it is very, very important for each and every one of us to make mushrooms part of our diet, because it's not only, help to reduce diabetes, hypertension, or high cholesterol in our system, but also it helps to boost our immune system against infections such as the COVID-19. So these are some of the wonderful health benefits of mushroom.
Coming from an experienced person, it sounds easy, but I'm sure with hard work and determination, you can make it.
Definitely, sure. It's all not very rosy, I must say. There is starting my business, when I started my first production, I had everything gone bad. Everything went bad, actually. And I have to start again because I'm seeing the end from the beginning. You must have that bigger picture. So challenges from the beginning will not deter you from achieving your aim or your purpose. So you need to create that vision. You need to have that picture in mind. Some of us will start something without knowing where we want to go to. So people can discourage you. Challenges can discourage you. But make all these challenges and the naysayers part of your learning curve, so that when you know where you want to get to, somebody cannot or nobody can tell you that this is not achievable, because you have put your plans on paper. And that is one thing that we'll be going to. You must put your plans on paper. Where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? Or where do I want to see myself in the next 10 years? So when challenges hit me in the first year, I know these are my plans. This is my plan A, my plan B, to get to where I want to get to. So definitely it's not going to be very rosy, and you need to embrace challenges. You need to come up with innovative ways of solving these challenges. And through these challenges, you'll see that definitely there will be a shiny lining on that dark cloud, which will give you a breakthrough to have your visions being realized.
It is said a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. What would be your advice for someone with that desire to take that first step in starting a business?
Thank you. Advising someone, as a young person, since I'm also a young person, I will always say that do not let that dream be in your head. Put an action to it. No matter how small it is, or no matter how crazy that idea is, if you have a clear picture of what it is and where you want to go, start. For instance, when after my MPhil, I said I want to do mushrooms, there are quite a number of people that feel like, really? You want to go and be picking or collecting sawdust to do mushrooms? That's below the belt for you. But I know what I want to achieve. I know the impact of my business that I'll have on the environment. So these became my inspiration to do what I have to do. So my advice is, if you have a clear picture, if you know what you want, go for it. Take an action today. You do not need to have all the resources you need at hand before you start. As you rightly said, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. So start. Wake up. Put an action to it. A step today you will continue. So in a nutshell, I'll just tell you to start. Start whatever you dream of. Begin it. Let's start it. We have quite a number of people that will keep on dreaming every single day. And when they see another person doing what they have been dreaming about, and say, I should have started this, but you haven't started. And when an idea comes to you, remember that it comes to almost 100 people at the same time. So if you don't take the action today, another person will. So there is the need for us to take this bold step. Whether you have all the resources or not, start. And God will help you to complete it.
Before we wrap up, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have this desire to start their own type of business. But in most cases, they are confronted with negative thoughts and also with fear. Having gone through this process of setting up a successful business as you have it in Yesley Eyes, what will be your advice to someone with the desire to start a business?
Running your own business comes with its own challenges, and I always say that if you are determined and you want to be a business person, you should prepare to take risk. Sitting at home doing nothing has its own risk. Going out to do something has its own risk. But you have to decide. If I go out and bring something in that I will not go hungry, that I'll be comfortable, why don't take that risk and then bring something than to sitting at home, getting nothing at home, and then being starved and being not comfortable. You have to decide what to do. If you should move forward and be comfortable, or get stuck and not going anywhere or not getting any benefit. We are all unique in our own way, and I always say that once you're passionate about something, once you have the idea, once you have the information, you try to start small. Entrepreneurs, as I always say, you have to be innovative. Don't think about copying anybody. You have your own unique way of running things. I have my own. We are all the same. So try to shine, try to brighten the color in which you are by being yourself, not trying to copy someone blind. Be you and do you. And if you are doing it, be passionate about it, do it well, consistent about whatever you are doing or whatever you set out with. And then most importantly, try to make it. Let the picture try that network, you'll be able to build basis, you'll be able to build stats with your business empire.
So what inspires you to do what you're doing?
fact that people patronize my product and come back to tell me that the product is good, it has really helped me solve this problem or that problem, especially when it comes to the beverages. Had it not been you, I don't take snack again. Had it not been yesterday, my house was nothing like ice cream. Had it not been you, I don't think we have anything natural or healthy for our family. That alone.
Tell us about their enterprises. Because as you are aware, we are looking at growing young entrepreneurs. Tell us about their enterprises.
Okay, so Prince has a little business called Plush Play Soap by Prince. We make hard hand washing hand soap. So it's instead of liquid hand soap, this is hard soap with dinosaur and unicorn toys inside them. So the whole purpose of it is to encourage children to wash their hands because, as you know, children love toys, and when they see a dinosaur in the toy, they are more likely to want to wash their hands and keep a great hand hygiene. The idea came about because one day we decided to spend time together, and Prince and I were trying to figure out something we could do, to try and spend quality time together. Because, I'll backtrack a little bit, actually.
So tell us, where do you draw your inspiration to do this?
Well, that's a really good question. I talked about the purposeful parenting paradigm, and that for me is the blueprint if you want to develop your child's entrepreneurial capabilities. I did mention about conscious parenting as well, which was the journey I went on in terms of introspection and trying to figure out what parenting meant to me. My inspiration is basically in my quest to raise them in a way for them to know that they can indeed have a joyful life, make a living based on what they love to do while making a difference to the lives of others. I do recognize that although they came through me, as our children do, they do not belong to me. We're just, as parents, we're custodians of their little lives, and they come onto this earth to fulfill their own purpose. And our role is to help them to fulfill that purpose. Our role is to nurture them, nurture their unique gifts and their true essence. So when I look back at my childhood and how, I explained about some of the challenges that I faced and all of that, I wouldn't want them to struggle unnecessarily. That doesn't mean that I will wrap them in cotton wool and shield them from the challenges that they'll face. Challenges in life are inevitable. But
is it difficult starting and maintaining a business in Ghana? What has been your experience so far?
Oh, well, it's difficult. I mean, we all have our stories of, I started with 300, 150, whatever. I personally can say I started with 200 Ghana cedis. But the fact is, sometimes you need some form of support. Sometimes you need money to come into your business. Unless, of course, maybe you land some contract which is pre-financed, then that means you can have money to carry on the contract and also have some surplus as profit to invest back into the business. So I believe the most difficult thing about starting a business isn't the starting itself, but it's getting the needed support. In Ghana, people want, not just in Ghana, I mean, it's human nature. People want to see your portfolio. Who have you designed for? If you approach a corporate institution, you need to give them a portfolio. Who have you worked with? So as a beginner, if you do not have a portfolio, it becomes very difficult to get a big contract. You just have to use your family and your friends. And the question then becomes, how many items can your family and friends buy for you to set you up? For instance, buying an industrial machine, which is well over 1,000 cedis. Hiring an office space, hiring a shop is a lot of money. And another downside is, you're not eligible to get funds from financial institutions because at this point of starting, you don't have any assets. Probably you have only one machine. Probably you don't even have a shop. You get it? So starting is the easiest part. But scaling is what is most difficult if you don't have the right connections, if you don't have the right people around you, if you're not lucky enough to get a big contract or funding or investment. That's what the problem is now.
What would be your advice to someone who wants to start something like you've done, but is scared? What would be your advice to such a person?
Well, it's good you said the word scared. I was just writing something about fear. Fear is very important. Fear is good to feel fear, because fear is, it depends on how you use it. You can use it to your advantage or your disadvantage. It's good to fear. There's a saying that your dreams should be big enough to scare you and to excite you at the same time, right? So just do it. The presence of fear is a sign that, it's something you need to go in and conquer. It shouldn't overtake you, but then it should be a fuel to push you. And go in knowing that it's not all rosy. Entrepreneurship, everybody has this fantasy idea that entrepreneurship is all rosy. I want to be a CEO, da 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 da. But no, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. Entrepreneurship is sacrifice. Entrepreneurship is ups and downs, and it takes a great deal of a long time to make it in your prospective field. So if you don't have the tenacity, if you don't have the zeal, the desire, to sacrifice your salary, sacrifice your profits, have the patience to build a business. If you do not have it, probably yours is to just get a regular job. But if you do have it and you're ready for all these obstacles, then definitely go in for it because it's going to be worth it at the end of the day.
So you indicate you rediscovered yourself through riding. Tell us about this experience.
So I think, getting into motorcycle riding in my 40s was quite an incredible experience. By this time, motorcycle riding had become very popular or was becoming popular in India. And a lot of people were taking it up like a sport, like a hobby, like a passion. When I was younger, we used to ride the motorcycle or the two-wheeler to just get from one place to another. Now, I found that there were many groups. I joined a group of women motorcyclists and, we'd go out for rides occasionally and meet other women who were fond of motorcycle riding and exchange ideas. And I think in going for long rides, I found my confidence back in myself. The joy that I experienced of being on a motorcycle and the fact that I could do anything. And like I told you, with a motorcycle, you can actually go to a terrain that is not really chartered. So you could get into off-road and really create a new road. And that is so exciting for me that you don't have to go on the beaten track. You can chart a new road. And there are so many incidents that I have of being able to, when my body was giving up, but my bike would remind me that I can go. My mind would tell me that I could go. And sometimes my mind would get tired and my body would tell my mind that this was possible. So I think that, I was able to claim myself for who I am because I'm a motorcycle rider.
Doing my research, I discovered that you and 6 other women undertook a motorcycle expedition to Mana Pass. And I discovered it's the highest motorable pass along the India-China border. Tell us about this expedition and also share some of the experiences with us.
Yes. So I think this was like an expedition that a friend of mine, one of the motorcycle rider women, contacted me and said, would you be interested? And we are planning to go here. And I don't think I got the full import of the idea that what would this really mean? And I just signed up and I said, yes, I'd be interested. And I'm not a seasoned rider, but I just wanted the adventure. So it was quite an immense learning for 7 of us to ride together to that ride. We learned so much along the way. We learned, of course, we also had our challenges, not just with each other, but with the environment and so many other challenges along the way, that we learned to navigate our way through that. And we learned to stay committed to our goal. And I remember that at one point, the terrain we were in was politically sensitive terrain, and it was really cold, and we needed to ride back, and it started to snow, and we were riding in the snow, and it was a huge challenge. And of course, while we were also going up the mountains, there were many times that one fell down. So you cannot be afraid of falling down. You will fall down and you will get up again and you will hurt yourself and you will carry on. I think in many ways in that experience, I learned that it is okay to fall down from the bike. It is okay to fall down in life. It is okay to take a pause, and you can still find the energy and the conviction, and you can get up and go again. So there are so many stories from that ride. I can go on and on, but this would be a nice summary.
Wonderful. You've had a remarkable career. Can you please share some of the challenges you've encountered in your entrepreneurial journey with us?
Oh, yeah. All right. So from the outside, you see it all looks so good. Everything, it looks like it's, I'm larger than life. Everything is great. I travel the world. It's first class. It's private jet. But then you see in the entrepreneurial spirit, there's also the lows. And the lows, of course, nobody really talks about it because it's like, well, who wants to hear low? But that's when in 2009, when the market crashed, and, at the time I was extremely successful, 4 businesses, I was running around like a crazy person, obsessed with the deal, obsessed with money, obsessed with making anything and everything. And then 2009 came around and the market crashed. So stock market, real estate market, and I had a fair amount of properties that I lost completely in no time. And it happened in 3 weeks. So that was in 2010. I was holding on to it because my ego was bigger than anyone's ego. And I'm young and I'm successful. And I was driving my Jag by the time. I had the Jaguar by the time I was 20. So of course I thought I had it all figured out until that happened. And what happened in 3 weeks of time in 2010, February 2010, major event happened is I lost all the properties. I had to let go of all the properties, go to my lawyer, give him the keys, dealing with the bank. All right, that was for one. My enormous salon producing all that money, suddenly my landlord decided to shut down the building. Okay. And then for 3, I was at the time in partnership with who I called my best friend, who was actually the biggest crook and thief, and he took me for the last loop. So he stole from me all along those businesses that I had. I had them in partnership with him, so he kept stealing until he really took me for the last round of it, because I borrowed a lot of money from a friend of mine in Paris, and at the time the euro was double the dollar, so it was just a nightmare. And I had to file for personal bankruptcy. And this was, to me, the crushing point of my ego. Like, it was a nightmare. And that night, 3 weeks later, I slept in my car. And this is how I realized, wow, this is what they talk about. But you see, I thought that being an entrepreneur was just a legend. You go high, you go low. I heard stories of guys that are, major millionaires now, but they're like, oh yeah, I crashed on my friend's couch in the middle. I lost everything twice. And I was always wondering, how can you lose everything twice? If you're so smart, you're not going to lose anything. You're going to be so good at it. Well, actually, I didn't realize that in it, there is the excitement, but there is the ego. And ego is the root of all evil, because the problem with ego, it could be great when you create. Ego is great because it comes forward, it's creative. But when it comes to just pushing, that's not good. So here I am in my car watching everything from the world, from my laying on my backseat of my SUV. And that's when I realized, wow, this is when I need to know, what is my mission? What is my vision? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And this is when I say, you know what? Hair is still something I love doing. I don't know why I think this is almost shameful now, because I'm so entrepreneurial. I make all that money. Saying I'm a hairstylist is like, not so great. And that's when I moved to Beverly Hills. And I really sat down with my PR and said, listen, this is time of now. I owe a major loan. I'm broke, totally broke. But I need to make it happen. So work with me. Let's make it together. And she was totally on board with it. And that's when we got together. And from that, we realized, all right, you can totally do it. And I crushed it more than ever, because now I was concentrated in one thing, and one thing only: my art, my craft, my passion. And that's also when I started gathering information and I started putting together Mind Your Hair. Because again, I started feeling, but you see all that Hollywood, it looks good from the outside. What is really going on in backstage? And that's really my entrepreneurial moment came from it too, because I realized, yes, I want still to be rich and famous and I want to have all those things. But now, knowing the low and having been so low, that I've learned about me. I've learned about what I wanted. I've learned about purpose. I've learned also to be of service, helping for free without having to expect something back from what I was giving. And that's really part of my entrepreneurial experience.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. So just as you've highlighted and talked about your challenges, I believe in all this there's been useful lessons you've picked up. Can you share some of these lessons with us?
Yes, of course. You see, this is the thing. We think when we lose it all, and often, and it's a male thing, which I've discovered with coaching clients, it's more of a male thing than anything else, is we put the definition of us from what we own, our possession, our bank account, the balance of our bank account. The higher it is, the bigger you feel in life. And the challenges are really knowing balance, knowing that there is nothing shameful. Like you see, for instance, it took me so long to being able to tell the world, I filed for bankruptcy. Personal bankruptcy is not a crime. But you see, ego is often really what blocks people to grow, to learn, and to be able to say it as it is. It actually blocks from authenticity, doesn't allow you to be who you are. And that's what it is. Those challenges, let them come to you. And when you see a challenge coming at you, instead of looking at it like, oh my God, this is a problem. No, that's not a problem. That is something I'm not liking, but it's all right. It needs to go. It's like a bill. When you receive your bill, well, you don't like your bill. Whether it's online or in your mailbox, but that bill is not going anywhere until you pay it. But it's the same thing with challenges. Challenges, they come to you to grow. They're here to just show you who you are. Nobody's doing something to you. And that's often also what it is, Of course, humankind loves to point the finger because it's always easier. If I put someone responsible for my problems, suddenly I feel, better for 3 seconds. And that's it. Because the problem is not going away and I'm still going to have to face it. That's what it is about. Being an entrepreneur and just life in general. No one is doing anything to you. It's not somebody mean up there that wants for you to suffer. It's just saying, oh, wow, all right, so how do I react to this challenge? Because to an action, there is a reaction. And you choose that reaction because you see also over time, I realized by meditating, by learning yoga, by learning all of those elements that I was able to look at it more calmly. And instead of thinking, oh my God, I don't have that much on my bank account, so I'm a loser, which I used to think. Well, it was about saying, all right, how do I go through it? How do I make it happen? How do I find a solution to this problem? And then little by little, it just became a second nature to be able to look at everything and some of the things I do not like at all. And it can include, losing people, one way or the other in your life. And it's the same thing of learning to deal with that. And that's really what it is. The challenges are coming to you. They're not coming at you. So that's really my takeaway.
Thank you so much, Patrice. We are just about wrapping up. Any last words or advice for my listeners?
Yeah, it'll be simple. It's about enjoy the journey. Stop overthinking. Just, we were given an amazing gift. It's one life. At least this life of today, right here, right now. Embrace it. You see, we spend too much time wondering, what are people going to think? Being judged, being critiqued. You see, a wise guy told me, I belong to this mastermind, and the guy who owns it says something so good to me that I needed to hear because at the time, I was so worried about what people were going to say about me. And I wanted everyone to love me. Oh my God, I had to have 100% of people thinking Patrice is amazing. And then he said to me, well, you're getting bigger and bigger in the digital world and whatever it is. So you better be ready because you're going to have half of the world who's going to love everything you do and the other half who's going to hate you. And the haters, they hate you. And they will say the meanest thing to you. So be prepared. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of anything. It's only becoming something stronger about you and you're going to learn that. So that's my advice. It's really about just enjoy every day. I have learned instead of thinking of the deal I was going to kill and this and more and this. It's just about, hey, I woke up this morning. This is already a miracle within itself. I'm alive. I'm healthy. And I do well enough. I can eat what I want. I can travel where I want. I take my car to go where I want. So the simple things of life, enjoy them. And I don't care how many millions you're making, you still remember the foundation of life. And that's why, in Buddhism, it's the breath is the gift. But it really means you're alive. So make it count. This is why we are here, to learn, to share, and to build a community. Enough with people thinking they can succeed on their own. You can't. I used to be this guy. Community is the only way to build. That's why today I'm with you. I can share my message with the other part of the world. Right now I'm in Africa. How amazing is that? And I'm not even like a great technology guy, but to me, I feel like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm amazed by it. And that's what it is. Be amazed by the most simple thing, by nature around you. That's what it is about. Just enjoy each day like it was the last one. And I'm not saying be reckless, but be appreciative, be grateful for what you're.
Just as you talked about challenges, I believe there's also been a lot of lessons you've picked up along the line. Can you share some of these lessons with us?
Well, with every challenges, there are mistakes, and after every mistake, you need to upgrade your logic and try to do things differently. My first lesson is that you really cannot wait for the clients to come knocking. I said it many times. It's like build it and they will come. Well, nobody comes. Especially if you're an entrepreneur. If you're just starting your business, you need to be very agile and proactive. You need to get your phone up, start calling people, start reaching out to prospects. It doesn't need to be phone. If you're not comfortable in talking, if you're not comfortable in discussing in real time, there are written communication and outreach capabilities. You can start sending emails in terms of, hi, my name is Kofi. I would really believe that I can help you. Or here is LinkedIn, which is a very good B2B platform that you can just start reaching out to people, connecting with them, and start seeing if there is an opportunity for there. So the lesson one is that you cannot really wait for clients to come, because if you wait, if they don't come, then you have a really big problem. The second one is that you really need to start taking chances. BSB, although is now a bit more mature company, we still take some high risk chances. I mean, there was a project back when we started, when we were just 7 people as a company, and the project required 10 people full time for 2 months. And that was a very risky move. But what I did is actually I just hired 10 new people because I had existing commitment with the existing clients. And then within 7 days, we find offices, we bought computers, we bought desks, we bought chairs, we interviewed people, we recruited 10 people, all within 7 days. And instead of that should be my biggest success, then the biggest problem was that now I have 2 months to find work for those people because the project was only for 2 months. And after that, I would either need to leave them or, which the challenge I accepted, I have 2 months to actually find enough work to keep them all. And we did it. Within 2 months, we found enough work for 10 more people, which was, we were 7 people. 10 new is really exponential growth. And the third lesson that I saw is that people are capable of great things. You just need to put some time and effort in them. I've realized from the mistakes, you need to see what people are happy doing it, what inspires them, and just give them that work. I mean, we've made mistakes. We found a person that is not really good in sales, and we said, okay, you know what? You're going to be sales. They were doing a great job, but since it's not their core, it's not their inspiration, it never went to the next level. On the other hand, now when we recruit people, we're saying, okay, start doing some general things. Let's see what you enjoy doing, what inspires you, and let's put you in that position. Because I know that if you're interested, it's no longer a boring job. Time stops being counted. You start even learning after work, during work, because that's really exciting for you and that's your passion. And if you know your passion, then our job is just to give you a direction, and then we see some very great results, Kofi.
I want to spend my time now talking about issues that you deal with on a daily basis. You spend your time helping businesses and companies. So I want you to advise people and businesses on several fronts. So let's start off with, what would be your advice for someone who is desirous on starting a business?
Yeah, honestly, I've talked with so many entrepreneurs that I've started finding patterns. There are a lot of people that I'm an entrepreneur, they get together, have few drinks, I have an idea, let's do a business on this. And they come to us and say, I have an idea, I'll become a millionaire in 6 months or less. And for me, it's good luck. That's not gonna work. On the other hand, I have people that actually spend some time as an employees working that particular thing, and they become expert in that field. And then they're saying, you know what, I have the expertise, I think I want to start my own business. And those entrepreneurs are highly more likely to succeed than the people that were just got an idea. And on the other hand, as I said previously, Kofi, is the passion. If the goal of the business is to make money, it will fade away. You're gonna lose the ambition, you're gonna lose the desire. However, if you're driven by passion and you actually want to do what you really love to do, then things change. Then time stops being counted and you lose yourself in the thing that you want to do. So we have a saying here in BSB, and I really enforce it with every employee and with everybody. And there is a quote, I really don't know who said it, but I live by it every day. And it is saying, if you want to do something, you'll find a way to do it. If you don't, you will find an excuse why not to do it. And that really resonated with me. I mean, so many times it's but I cannot do that because of this, and that's a lot of excuses on why you shouldn't do something. On the other hand, I know people with far less opportunities, and they're okay, this problem came in, I found a way to go over it. Then another problem came in, I found another way of overcoming it. And I think that business is that, just overcoming problems. I don't know a company that doesn't have a problem. As an entrepreneur, you have one complexity. As a startup, you have different complexity and different problems. As a corporation with the billions in revenues, you still have problems. It's just different level. So if you start with excuses why not to do something, you will never be able to grow. And this is also on a personal level. It's not just for a company. You need to start running to lose weight. Yeah, but I don't have sneakers, I don't have music, the weather, it's cold, it's hot, it's too many excuses. On the other hand, if you really want to do it, you just do it. It will be harder because of the problems, but you'll overcome them. So it's a really nice quote. I don't know who said it. I'll actually Google it to see, but it's stuck in my head, and it's always like this. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. But if you don't, you'll just start finding excuses.
Thank you very much. Now, how about for someone who is already in business? What would be your words of advice for such a person?
Well, that is a fellow because he's already started, and I can just tell him the mistakes that I did because those are critical. If you have a business, start thinking about marketing. I didn't do it because I was a freelancer, and it took me 3 years to realize that I actually need marketing in order to have a successful business. And on the other hand, you need to start building relationship with people. Networking is something that only few people talk about it, and it's really like a cloudy sentence. Well, you need to network, and everybody's saying, yeah, you need to network because it's important to be in a network and it's important to be part of a network. But I don't think that everybody understands the importance of network. When it comes to more expensive services or solution, nobody is just screening on Upwork or just Googling. People wanted to ask for referrals, and I'll come to you and I say, Kofi, do you know anyone that is good in working with entrepreneurs? And then you need to have a go-to guy for that service. And in order to be that, you really need to specialize. And it's not just the specialization, people need to know about you. So I also learned that a bit later, but the moment I did, I actually said, okay, what are the chambers, associations, organizations that I can join in? I'm not going to get a lot of clients from them. That's for sure, because it will be filled with alike people. So I'm currently member of the Macedonian Associations of Management Consultants, and they are like-minded people. I can even say they are competitors to me. But when you stop looking them as a competitors, magic happens. I mean, Kofi, I had more than 10 projects where I didn't got it from them, but they're saying, you know what, Dancho, you're outreach, I'm a financial guy, let's apply together to a project opportunity that came up. And then I've realized that we're not really that competitors. We are actually complementary to each other in order to together reach new markets. So with the networking, we've realized that you're aligning yourself to other companies and other solution, and together you can actually make much better result than you just fighting yourself on the market only.
Very much. We are just about ending our conversation for today. Do you have any last words or advice for my listeners?
Yeah, sure. Kofi, I really hope that your entrepreneurs will be inspired and take the courage and say, okay, I'm gonna start that business. And yeah, if I wanted to have excuses, then I wouldn't be here. But since they're actually listening to your podcast, they're making the effort. They are trying to find a way to do something. And if that's the case, my recommendation is don't find excuses, but find solutions. There will be always problems. It's just how you actually look at them. And the second biggest recommendation is people wait for an opportunity to emerge. And you shouldn't wait it. You need to chase an opportunity, because if you just sit and waiting for someone to call you, yeah, someone will call you, but then you're missing all the opportunities of connecting with other people. Business is a life matter. As you talk with people, you reshape your service, you upgrade your logic, you introduce new services. As you talk with people, you understand new market needs that you were not even aware before it. And then you think, okay, but I can actually add a new service. So if you start talking with people and if you start getting into the networking, is very promising for entrepreneurs to succeed. And if they stop finding excuse and start finding solution, then I can guarantee that they will be a very successful entrepreneurs.
We also use this opportunity to thank our listeners. And as I've been saying, I've been reading your feedback, your messages to me, your comments, and your words of encouragement. Thank you so much. This journey is turning out the way it is mainly because of your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What is in store for the year 2021? I've taken on board a lot of the suggestions you've always sent to me. So we're going to make it bigger and better. The plan is to release more exciting episodes in this coming year. We're already in that year, in 2021. Then also gradually groom and grow a community. A community where we can share experience. An experiential sharing platform of like-minded individuals who are willing to brainstorm and build themselves. That is one thing we are also going to do this year. We also promise to have a lot more videos because that's one suggestions we kept on receiving. So we've set up a YouTube channel. So we'll be posting these videos as and when we work on them. We're also going to spend time doing live shows where I'm going to invite our resource people to come and interact with our audience. It promises to be an exciting 2021 with God being our helper. So get on board. Join me on this journey as we all work towards living a life of passion and purpose. This year promises to be a year of good health, of success, and impact. So don't be left behind. We are leaving no one behind. We are going forward to come out with the best versions of us. Let's do this together. I remain your host, Kofi Animedu. This has been a special edition of the Entrepreneur Speaks podcast. I'll come your way next time with another exciting episode. Let's continue to say a prayer for each other. Let's continue to support each other. Let's continue to stay safe and keep hope alive. Cheers.